Tetris. I don't get it.
It's a combination of tetra, Greek for four.
Let me tell you a story of intrigue. Let me tell you an old school story about a spy game between the West and Russia. Let me tell you about a video game that is so well known you wouldn't believe its origin story. Let me tell you about Tetris and why the hell Apple is keeping it from most of you. I'm Meffistoe. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel because this is my review of the movie Tetris.
It all began with a guy named Alexei Leonidovich Pajitnov 4 years ago.
When I first heard that they're making a movie about Tetris, my face went like this. But when I read a little bit about what the plans were, it seemed like a lot less like a video game movie and more like a biopic. I wasn't aware that Apple was behind the production, so it slipped out of my mind. It took me a while before I actually got a copy of it, and now that I have seen it, I'll tell you all about it. With no spoilers, of course.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Eddie. Nintendo was letting me become a publisher.
The movie tells the story about Hank Rogers, a video game businessman that comes across a game that he cannot put down. A game that is all about falling blocks. He's trying to get funding from his banker to buy the rights for it and of course sell them as a game for Nintendo. Hank is an American. He has a Japanese wife and children and he lives primarily in Tokyo. As he secures the rights and starts shopping the game around, he realizes that this game came from Russia and the rights he thinks are secure are not. This begins an arms race of sorts, forcing our hero to go into the lion's den of Moscow and convince the locals to sell him the rights so he can finalize his deal with Nintendo and finally get the game out into the entire world.
We'll consider your offer, Mr. Rogers.
I haven't made one yet.
Yes.
This is one of the best movies I've seen in 2023. It takes the basis of a true story and it adds just enough drama to make it a very compelling biopic. But it does not forget the fact that it is not a nuclear missile we're talking about here. This is a video game. When the movie starts, it kind of tells you the story quite rapidly, and you're left thinking, wait, is this just going to be told in flashbacks? But when the flashbacks stop, this is the moment where the movie starts to shine, and when Hank lands in Moscow, the thrill ride begins.
Where I really need to go is Allure.
I assumed you were here for vacationing purposes.
The whole movie varies between a weird business negotiation and a full-on spy games. In fact, the movie depicts quite correctly the atmosphere of the mid-80s and how everyone in Russia knew communism was coming to an end. But it is still not gone yet, and the fear the regular folks felt and how they acted in defiance on the underground is palpable.
I mean, that's why I came to Moscow, and I think that's why you invited me here tonight.
Taron Egerton steals the show as Hank Rogers. He is, on the one hand, the most honest businessman and yet the most ruthless one. And he's also a bumbling fool when it comes to strolling into Moscow, not knowing he's being watched or that the KGB are following him. If you've never seen Kingsman, you'll never know he is British at all. The accent he puts on is really good. Plus, I'll give credit to the movie. It does depict Hank as a dad who abandons his family a lot, chasing his fortune and glory. But he also has a redemption arc for exactly that.
Never underestimate
The power of basic.
Another thing I loved about the movie is the insertion of the story of Robert Maxwell, a British media mogul that turned out to be a complete fraud and also had a very mysterious death. That whole tragedy has nothing to do with the story of Tetris, but it does link to it. The volatile story of Maxwell and his son brings another dimension to the story of Tetris in terms of being an antagonist to the whole tale. Maxwell is another facet in the chase to get the rights to publish Tetris and as a counterbalance to Hank Rogers' story. Roger Allen, the actor who plays Maxwell, did such a great job with the role. I wish he could play him again in a Maxwell biopic because that side of the equation is very, very interesting. The inclusion of Maxwell in the story hypes up the spy game feel of the whole tale and how it fits with the KGB narrative. and the narrative of the last days of the USSR under Mikhail Gorbachev. You really feel the sensation of there's no one to trust and everyone can turn on everyone. And that is exactly how it felt living under that authoritative regime.
Your visa says you're a tourist, but you're not. A crime. Your Tetris game says you licensed it.
Overall, a simple premise to a biopic that turns out to be interesting, fascinating, and engaging movie about a game that was invented on a simple computer that took over the world by storm since the 80s and up till today. Tetris the game is depicted in this movie as a reverence. It shows you time and time again why was the game so popular back then and even until today. To me, the best scene to show you this is right at the start.
Have you ever heard our apartment this quiet before?
I do love the fact that the pixel art is incorporated into the movie, whether it is in transition between place to place or straight up woven into a car chase. I had an absolute blast watching this movie, and at times I forgot that this is a movie we already know the ending for and how this addictive game got into all of our hands. If you don't have Apple TV or can't have it in your country, please get the Blu-ray version of this movie and watch it. It is absolutely worth it, and I cannot recommend it enough.
Oh, you mean the contract that gives me global royalties on sales of Tetris? Because I haven't got any yet. Oh, okay.
I thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this review, smash that like button to help me out with the algorithm, or leave a comment. Please check out other reviews that I've done in the past or our live Saturday show where we cover all sorts of amazing movies. And remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.